Who are you? Who are you for life to respect you? You're nobody. All the things you have, you think you deserve them. You don't. They just happen. You're just fortunate. Because a lot of people were not around to have these conversations. There are a lot of people who are present who can have this conversation. Are you any better than them? No, you're not. So humility is very key.
Hi there. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Life, Love and Relationships. Today's topic is one I believe that every man, every woman should listen to, particularly if you're at a stage where you want to make the decision on who to marry and how to choose a life partner for yourself. With me today is not someone who would be, talking about it from the perspective of a boy, but someone who has evolved through the years, and then we can trust that he is able to guide us in this kind of journey. And so we're going deep into decisiveness, emotions, and what it really takes for a woman to be chosen by a man who would really be a blessing to our life. So men, ladies, I would encourage you to grab your notebook because the conversation today may change the way you date, the way you love, and the way you prepare for marriage. So welcome.
Nice to be back. Thanks for having me, sis.
Oh, we are always glad to have him here. This is the time to grab your notebooks because you're going to be going away with a lot of lessons from these guys. Especially, I think the opportune moment really here is for the single lady. So grab your notebooks and take all the lessons you can take from him. So to get started, let's begin with the myth.
Disclaimer, guys. Sorry to cut you short. I don't know anything. No. Just learning.
Anyway, it's just been humble. Let's begin with the myth. Do men really know what they want, or is that just a romantic fluff that has gone around for so long?
To answer that question, I would like to start by saying that life itself is very distracting. How do you, in the middle of so much noise, pick something that is for you? In how many people do we have on Earth? Over 7 billion. Yeah. So now you have a task to just pick one person, out of that 7 billion. So how do you do that? I think you start by being very true to yourself, very, very true to yourself. Because, there's no one else who would know you as much as you know yourself, and then when you externalize, when you show us what you want us to know, it's quite different from who you truly are. And so what you show us is different from what you actually carry on the inside, so you need to be very true to yourself. What are the things that matter to you? What are the things that are, very important to you in terms of your value system, in terms of, what direction your life is heading to? And I tell you something, marrying very early is actually very challenging, because at the point where you're still trying to find your feet, you're trying to sail through life. You're learning, even at my age, I'm still learning. Even people who are older than me are still learning. So I don't think it's a decision that you can single-handedly make, if you ask me. I don't think so. You should seek, talk to people. Like, I'm having this, they don't necessarily have to choose for you, but they can help you guide in selecting the conditions, that matter in selecting your partner. Because it's very, very important. And I say to you that when you're a lot younger, your value systems tend to change as you grow older.
It evolves.
So you need to be very futuristic when you're making that decision. Don't look at the now alone. You need to look at the future. In fact, the future should weigh more on your decision than the present. Because believe me, things will change. So I think your question, you say, do men know? So how can you know? You can only know when you're true to yourself, when you speak to, the things that really matter to you, when you internalize and you say, based on these things that are very important to me on the inside, do this person, do they reflect, those value systems and all of that, and then, ask yourself, in another 10, 15 years, what would I be like? What would this person be like? Very important. I remember someone I was dating. I would not forget this. And fantastic lady, I liked her, we vibed intellectually and everything. But there was a problem. Physical attraction. It wasn't that it wasn't there at all. It was there, but there were key things that were missing. And I said to myself that, intellectually we vibe, we connect, soul-wise we connect. But I know there's going to be a problem because I know myself. So if I had decided based on that we connect intellectually, only that would have had problems. Because those other aspects that were missing would have created a vacuum, so to say, or a need to want to, look outside, so to say.
And you remain true to yourself.
Yeah, so I had to stay true to myself. Like, these things matter. Yeah, I'm going to lose a fantastic person. This person, I know she's awesome. Her mind, and I'm a man who's after the mind of whoever, it doesn't even have to be my partner, friends, relationship generally. If I'm connecting with you, it's on the mind level. Like, where is your mind at? What value systems you carry? What's the depth of the mind? What are the things that are important to you and all of that? So
I really like that. But does that infer that it's possible to, because I don't also want us to set unrealistic expectations. Does that infer that it's possible to get a full package? So you got everything you wanted except for physical attraction, but because you know yourself, you know that that was a critical factor for you that you couldn't compromise on, right? Does that infer that when you eventually got married, you got everything in one, or you also had to compromise in another area that wasn't as important?
it's
Do
it's
you
totally impossible to get everything.
yeah.
It's totally impossible. See this as a negotiation table. That's what life is. We negotiate every day. You can't have this. Okay, let me have this. I can't have this. I can't study abroad. Okay, I'll go to the top university here. I can't get the top university. I'll go to a less top university, but that's a bit more top tier than the others. Life is all about negotiation. So you can't have it all. It's not possible. It's totally impossible for you to have it all. But when you're making the negotiations, why I say that,
They're non-negotiables.
yes, non-negotiables can also become negotiable. Yes, life is not in black and white. It's not cast in stone. And again, the things that seem very rigid to you that you cannot negotiate on, that are non-negotiable to you, in the future might become very elastic. Yes, they might become very elastic. And I always say something: youth or youthfulness has a thing to play in everything. When you're younger, you're faster. You have the time. You can do this. You can move things down. You can shuffle. You can do all of that. But when you advance in age, you realize that you don't have that luxury of the time anymore, and then you then start to settle. People say don't settle. We all settle. We all settle. Life itself is the Mastercard player. It can deal you a card. If it deals you a card, you have to settle. But even in that settlement or settling, what are your negotiation skills as well? Okay, I can't have this anymore. I'm being
But there's
realistic
still
now.
things you can't compromise.
There are a lot of things you cannot compromise. But like I said, life can deal with you. You start to learn humility when you start to see life, when you start to experience life. Now, I'll say to you that I had a lot of, oh, this is how it's going to be. My marriage is going to my wife, my this. Please. In fact, there's a saying that life happens to you, it's like 90% of the time, and then there's a 10% of how you react to life. It's about how you react. Who are you? Who are you for life to respect you? You're nobody. All the things you have, you think you deserve them. You don't. They just happen. You're just fortunate. Because a lot of people were not around to have these conversations. There are a lot of people who are present who can have these conversations. Are you any better than them? No, you're not. So humility is very key, very, very important. And the people who you think or you might appear like you're better than them, you are not. You are not better than them. And I always say, like I say to my kids, that even when those who do not have are not around, you see, how you react to what you have could be respect or disrespect.
I like
Respect
that.
or
Yeah.
disrespect to their memory, to their existence, to where they are. Because, hey, you have the fact that you have this thing doesn't mean that it was available to everybody. There's a place of hard work, there's a place of determining this and that and this, but then there's a constant factor that is life. If you are allowed, you're given the opportunity to make those dreams come true, to breathe even the next second, you know. So as you age, as you grow older, you begin to understand this. I was having this conversation with a younger friend recently. I can't do this, I can't, and I was just laughing. Like, hey, slow it down.
Life has not
Life is coming. Life is coming, and it comes at all of us fast. And that's when it deals with you, it deals you the card. Then you now have what to negotiate around. I say, okay, God forbid, you've always wanted to be a basketballer. This is blah. You have an accident. You're in a wheelchair. What do?
Yeah.
You don't give up. You don't say, okay, now that I'm in a wheelchair,
Okay.
what can I do given my circumstance? Hey, I can still lecture on basketball, even if I'm not in the field. But the dream you had before was to be a basketballer. But now you cannot play basketball because you're wheelchair ready.
I guess what you're trying to say to the younger ones is, in essence, Elo Farabale, right? Elo Farabale, because life will teach you humility. But to the guys who have not experienced this who have not experienced life in such a way that they see what you're talking about. How do you make this decision without necessarily shortchanging yourself as a man?
And that's why I said earlier, seek counsel. Seek counsel. And I don't know, I tend to have a bit of some grasp on a lot of topics. And why is that? Because I saw counsel. I attended seminars. I read books. I listened to people, wise men, and then I learned stuff. And then as you grow, these wisdom nuggets that you pick all about, you then make a pebble collection, your own pebble collection. Because you cannot take everything hook, line, and sinker. Some things might not work for you. You see, that's another thing. Yeah, it might work for other people, but might not work for you. So you need to be wise enough to know that, hey, I might be having a problem because I'm trying to fit this thing exactly. Something I picked from someone else, I'm trying to fit it exactly into my own circumstances. And it might not be so. It might just be a training ground for you. Someone else's experience might just be a training ground for you to apply, how to do. It's like working out. You go to the gym, you work out, and what works for this body might not work for your body. Someone else will be in the gym for 6 months and they yet to see, results. And then someone just keeps saying in 2 weeks, and then the body's taking shape. So you need to understand that I have a very, very stubborn body. So what it means now is that I have to be more dedicated in what I put in my mouth, in my body, over this guy. That this guy might eat anything, and then still keep that body form and everything. Life is exactly like that. So for the young guys, seek counsel. You need to be wise. Seek counsel, ask questions, because the truth is, this is one decision you make in your life that can alter everything about you.
Absolutely.
If you choose a bad partner, you're done for. You would live in a furnace all your life. If you choose a good partner, oh God, you're in a safe spot.
So tell me, what is a good partner to a man? And I want you to use yourself as an example. When you were picking, what was a good partner to you?
Okay. I always have examples. I dated someone and I noticed that all my dreams, were not important to this person. Like she was not even moved about it. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what she was not even moved about.
In what light? Is it that she was more concerned about herself, or she was just passive?
She was passive.
Okay, so it's not like she had her own dreams that she was
she had her own. No, she wasn't selfish about her own dreams. She was just passive. She was dismissive about them. And then, if your dreams are important to you, you would understand that as a man. They give you the entitlement you need to drive the family, to drive, life and all that. So holding the reign of your dream really matters. So if your dreams matter to you and you have a woman who is passive about it, I'm not saying the person is wrong, but you need to check that. I don't want to say red flag, but have that conversation.
It is a red flag.
Have that conversation. Put it on the table and have that conversation. These are my dreams. These are my goals. The person is passive, dismissive about them or not even present, like they don't even matter.
You know why I said it is a red flag? It is a red flag because if we call ourselves faith-based people and we're truly going by the word of God and by the design of God, women are called helpmates.
Yeah.
You're here to support him. He's the one leading, just like I said, the reins of the family. So if you're not in support of what he's doing, you think you're only being passive. But in essence, what you're doing is you're allowing that man to live his life alone. So really, what is the purpose of him having you? So it is, for me, I believe it is a red flag. You don't necessarily have to have a woman who knows about all the things. So you might be an engineer, maybe she's an art person or whatever. She doesn't necessarily have to know about everything that you're doing, but she wants you to thrive in your dreams. If she sees anything helpful, she's listening attentively and trying to figure out. I believe it is a red flag when you meet a woman who is just who can't be bothered about.
Like you said, she doesn't need to have a very thorough knowledge about the industry that you play in. Something as little as helping you lift something, passing something on to you. Have you checked this? Oh, do you have this, honey? Do you have this figured? What about this? Oh, you said you were going to call. That might just be the part you're playing.
Yeah, just following up.
Yes.
Being like the operations person.
Yes, hey, you know what? Let me do this for you.
Yeah.
Let me help you plug the laptop. Let me help you do this. They might be as little as that, but they go a long way to show that you're actually in support of this person's aspiration and dreams, and then that you're present. And then it's funny you mentioned help. Before someone can provide help to you, it means the person at that point don't require help themselves.
Whoa! At least in that area.
At that point, they don't. In that area, and at that point, they don't require help. This is what I mean. If someone is physically not strong,
ladies, What does that mean? What is the lesson from this? The lesson from this is you need to equip yourself. Just don't stand waiting for the man to come and find you. As you are waiting, be empowering yourself. Self empowerment. We talk a lot about self care. Self this thing. Self empowerment is key. That's what I'm getting from this man right now. Empower yourself so that before the man meets you, you are in a place of strength. You've equipped yourself.
There is actually something that a lot of women do not, I'm not sure, some people, that's why I say a lot of women might not realize. And what is that? You can attract that man. You should be true to yourself first as a lady.
Yeah.
What do you actually want? You know, 'cause I stumbled upon a post on Twitter, and the lady said, oh, a lot of things she has taken out of, you know, her pre conditions for choosing a man. You know, like she's taking this out, she's taking that out. She's taking, you know, that life is life.
That's what you were saying earlier. That
Life is coming at her. You know, so she's taking this out, she's taking that out, she's taking it. You know, so like I said, youthfulness has a role to play. When you're young, you have all the time in the world. You know, I can't do this. I don't understand. Because you're young. You know, so and you have the right to sound like that because the energy is yours. It's there.
you have the right.
You have the right to sound like that. But then, as you age in life, as you advance, you realize that hey, a lot of things that I felt were important then are actually nothing. You know, someone got a tattoo when they were young, and you know, and then they're older now. They're ashamed of it. They're ashamed to brandish the tattoo because now your value system has shifted.
Evolved, maybe.
It's shifted. It's moved. It always moves. That's the truth. They are very core value, you know, very core that, yes, they determine other sub values, so to say. They don't shift. You know, but then in specific terms, like, let's say, for instance, now, the guy has to be tall.
The guy has to
be tall.
Oh, okay.
You get, he has to be tall, dark, you know, handsome, and all of that.
If you meet a tall devil.
You get what I'm trying to say? You know, so, but when you look at things like raising your children, when you look at things like, what kind of values do I want to a man to, or do I need instilled in my children? Then you start to look for a man who is that value case, not just tall, dark, and handsome. The first thing you start to look for those values in a man, like, what's this man's value about money? What's his value about relationship? What's his value about kindness? About humanity? You know?
Yeah.
Is a man going to beat a man who's already down? Who's going to beat him down while he's down? Is he that kind of man?
Yeah.
You go out with them? I was on a date one day, and then a waitress, you know, came to attend to us, and my date was extremely rude.
The waitress?
No, my date
Your
was
date?
rude,
To the
very
waitress.
rude to the waitress, and that was it.
She didn't have a second date.
That was it. That was the end. So for me, I understand that we're all just fortunate. Yes, you can go to good schools and all of that, but then life has allowed it. You know, I say that when you have,
privileges you
yes,
enjoy.
life has allowed it. Say, for instance, now you're a rich man, right? You have cars, you have this. You're fine because why? You haven't had misadventures. You've not had disasters, ravage. You know what you've stashed, and that's why you're still rich today. Yes. You know, one disaster can turn you to a poor man in 2 days. Fire can ravage and turn. You know, so
Look at the story of Job.
do you understand?
Job in the Bible.
Yes. Yes. So that's life. So when that happens and then you have all of that, always remember that you were protected by God. You know,
That keeps you humble.
you were given grace, you know, to be able to be here. Grace to be able to stash all of this together, and then they call you a rich man. Look at Solomon. It's the grace.
Yeah.
It's the grace of God. You know, so once that is present, acknowledge that you're nobody. You're nobody. You know, so your value systems, like, how do you want, what kind of children do you want to raise? What do you want to tell your kids about religion? What do you want to tell your kids about marriage? When they start to ask questions, what do you want to tell my boys, for instance? They tell me, Dad, why is it that these guys are plaiting their hair? You know, and then what kind of answer do you want your you know what I'm trying to say? If you're very liberal about it, then maybe you should look for a liberal man as well.
So what I'm hearing, oh my God, I love this. What I'm hearing from you is, as much as it's the responsibility of the man to know what they want and pick what aligns with their value system and their goal in life, who they want to be, what they want to pursue, the dreams they want to pursue, it is equally the responsibility of the female to also know themselves, know their value system, and accept marriage invitation from a man who aligns with theirs as well. Yeah.
And when it's time,
because, you know, I'm emphasizing on this because sometimes we tend to see females who who accepts to marry a man and then they want to start
Changing, shaping the
the
man.
man. And it's both ways as well. Some men also marry a lady and they want to start shaping her to become who they want. No, you can't change people. You should, it's your responsibility to pick those who align with your dreams,
Yeah,
your goals, and your life's purpose.
very important. And when a lady is ready, when a lady is ready, the man knows.
How?
Yeah, very good. There are certain things you portray, where whether you're aware or not, that tend to show that certain things matter to you. Let me give a very good instance. I am with my partner. We're not married, we're still dating and all that. And I noticed that every time we're about to spend money,
On lavish
she
nonsense.
gets, every time I was about to spend money, she's like, I'll give you good examples that happened in my life that helped me to also realize that this person is not right for you.
It's not for you.
Yeah, but not right for you. When it comes to spending money, you notice that this lady is very conservative. She get like, no, why do we need to spend that? Oh, do you know we could do this? Do you know we could do that? Do you know we could do this? That's a homemaker right there. That's a homemaker. A man who is ready to marry, who understands what marriage is anyway. I'm not talking about a man who's just looking for physical attributes. There's some men like that. And that's why I said youthfulness comes into play. When you're a boy,
Yeah.
making a man's decision. You get one thing, you're a boy, you're making a man's decision. All those things would die out. They would die out. When you're picking a woman because of pecky breasts and all of that, after a while the breast would they'll bow down.
To find its way.
What do you do then? Do you go to pick another woman looking for pecky? You get what I'm trying to say? And then
There are variables that can never be
they
constant.
can't. No, they are inconsistent, and these things go away. So they cannot matter 100% to you. They might matter at the beginning, but just understand that these things are not super
never remain
important. They will
constant.
not be constant. There was a point in my life I wanted to rent my first apartment, my very first apartment, and the lady I was dating then preferred I buy a car.
So it was apparent that your thinking pattern.
Yeah, where I was then, I was
were different.
maturing. I was going to leave my dad's house, get my own apartment, and start out as a man. But this lady was okay with me staying in my dad's house and then getting a car. That just said a lot to me. Like, go and get a car instead, so that when we go to watch movies, I can lay my head, on your shoulder while you're driving. And for a young guy, that's very tempting.
Yeah.
But for a man, and that's what I was saying to Mr. T then, that the point of maturity for men really, really differs. Some men can be in their 30s and still be boys.
Yeah.
Running to their mom, seeking counsel for every little thing that happens.
I like this thing you said, because I remember in my, before I got married, when my mom was advising me on a lot of things, I really didn't understand when she said, she was always saying that marry a man that is, I'll say it in Yoruba. Obìnrin gbọ́dọ̀ fẹ́ ọkùnrin tó jù lọ. Whether you like it or not, at some point, the man will remind you, I'm the leader of the home, right? So it is wiser as a woman to marry somebody who is more than you.
So I think we all should look out for that factor in both sexes. As a guy, as a lady, look out for maturity. There's certain things that, you should start deciding how you make your decisions, and all of that. Like, are you still a boy? Why are you saying this? Why do you prefer this over, say, for instance, now, you're with a guy or a lady that wants to club every other day. I'm not saying clubbing is wrong.
Probably not, because there are married couples that
I'm not saying
decide
it's wrong.
they must club every other day.
But when you sit down and then you decide that amidst every other thing that is important in this life, it's that clubbing that is number one.
Then it becomes a problem.
If both of you align, fine. Then it means that you're going to have a terrible home. Yes, who is going to plan? Who's going to do that if you're all out all day? No, I'm not saying this because I don't like clubbing, But if you ask yourself, in the midst or in the middle of a lot of things that seem very important, how do you keep up, being responsive, being available, being responsible, in terms of wealth, picking up your bills and all of that? How do you juxtapose all of this with being out every other day? Now it depends on the nature of the job that you guys do. Some people earn their cash by just sitting down, pressing the phone. Yes, some people do that too. And again, like we said, what works for Jack might not work for everyone. You get what I'm trying to say? So maturity is very key. Maturity is very, very, very important.
We've covered value systems, your desires, aligning your desires with the way you're choosing. We've also covered physical attraction. So I would ask, what role does decisiveness play in how a man chooses a wife? And do you think that indecisiveness on the part of a man should be a red flag for a woman?
Let me, thanks for the question. Let me answer by saying that um, what determines the quality of a man for me is his ability to take decisions, and then the quality of decisions, and then the timeliness of the decisions. You know,
Mhm.
because we're talking decisiveness now,
Yeah.
right now. So I know, a few people who, I mean, I'm not, uh, I'm not the one to judge or anything,
Hmm.
but you know, you just can see that they are not where they want to be in life.
For men or for the women?
Men,
Okay.
they're not where they want to be in life. They're not where they ought to be in life, and you can just tell that it stems from the
Bad decision.
inability to make the right decision, and
Mm,
then the timeliness as well.
mm,
So for a man, like when I want to do something, I can really dilly dally, because I am that person who just I want the best. So I say, oh, do I do this? What do I? Some of my friends know me. Sometimes when I say I'm going out, I'll end up not going out. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But when it comes to making important decisions, there's something I do. I evaluate. Have I missed the time for this decision? Because when you miss the time for the decision, you
mm,
need to understand you have missed the time. Now you need to
mm.
understand that the next move you're going to make is supposed to be a remake. Like, what's that? There's a word for lack of that word now. You're supposed to make an amend, so to say. You
Mm,
have missed the actual decision, so you make an amend. We can miss. We're
mm,
not perfect. We can miss, but then do you even know you missed?
mm.
That's
Are
the
you even
thing. Are you
aware
aware you missed?
that that ship has
Yes, it's
sailed?
sealed.
So you need to
And then now,
redefine.
what you need to do now, okay, like say for instance, a rich man has given you access. It's happened to me before. He's giving you access. Access like, call me at this time, you know, or come to this place at so time, and then you miss that time. And then the next time you're talking to that rich man, you're talking as though, hey, the man didn't
Give
already tell
you
you
when to do it.
when to do it. You need to first speak to that. Sir, I am sorry I wasn't able to make it so day. Give your reasons. And I was just wondering, could you still give me the opportunity to? That's awareness. That's someone that shows,
Taking
yes,
responsibility as
you took
well.
responsibility,
Yeah.
and then you'll be taken seriously. But then you just rush into it like nothing has happened. Like, hey, but you
I'm
are
here
I
now.
am now. Like, who is this one? Kids. Like
Yeah.
for some people, it might not mean anything. But for
This
people,
resonates deeply with me,
yeah, but for
even as a
people
woman.
who
Yeah.
take timing and everything to be very important, it's an insult to them. You can't try that rubbish with me. I would wipe you. Seriously. Like I would not give you a few days. Like, are you serious, young man, young woman? That time has passed now. Like, or no, just not even listen to you anymore. Like, what's this? So decisiveness, you need to just be aware of time.
Mm.
You get it? Like the place of fate, destiny, so to say. You might miss something when you're supposed to do it. And you might miss it as a result of where God is projecting you to. But
Mm, mm,
are you
mm.
aware? But are you aware? There's a Yoruba movie. I always make mention of this when we're talking about destiny and all of that. The guy was going to be used for ritual, right? He was going to be used for ritual. And in order for that not to happen, he had to go mad. Because when you're mad, in traditional terms, you're not suitable for rituals. So in order to miss that, he had to go mad. And then he went mad and then missed that.
Or at least for the specific purpose they wanted to use him for, that particular ritual, madness was
He
was
once
yeah.
you lost your sense of your sanity and all of that, you're not ripe or right for the
For that
ritual.
ritual, for that specific
Yeah.
ritual.
So when the
But some
time
people
comes,
also use
yes. So when the time
Mm.
came, it missed him. He missed him,
It
and then
passed him
he
by.
got past him. So this is just
So some things we miss that saving grace.
yes. Something very similar happened to me. I was working towards something very, very important. I felt this is just the answer to everything. Blah blah blah, and then it happened. Eventually, I sat back and I was asking God. I felt so sure then. Right now, I'm not so sure. He has made it happen.
Mm.
I'm not so sure. I'm not sure anymore. I need signs. I need
Because you had put in all the work, everything you
Yeah.
should have done, but it didn't work out. It's not a case
No,
of
it
you were
worked.
careless or reckless.
Yes, I wasn't careless. I wasn't careless. I did everything I was supposed to do, and then it worked out. And then I didn't do anything about it anymore. And then it passed me by, right? The opportunity passed. And then I saw someone else who took advantage of that same opportunity, right? And got it, and it happened. And then years down the lane, the same thing that I missed was now a disadvantage to the person who was taking advantage of it.
Woo. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
And then I was saying to myself,
wow,
Lord, if I had taken this opportunity now this would have been happening to me. Now, it's not to say that there aren't possibilities of the same thing happening to you and then the same thing turning into, favorable stuff for you and all of that. But I'm saying I am not going through the discomforts that person might be going through right now. So I'm grateful for that.
Grateful.
But awareness is what's key, because after that time passed, God provided another tunnel for that same thing I wanted to do. He provided a surer tunnel with less trouble, with less worrying. It just snapped open like that. So sometimes when I don't like desperation, I don't like it. When I'm desperate for something, I do not like it. Have you done everything you should do? Go and rest. Let God work. You want to take God's mantle and start working for him. I don't like it. And I think the same thing applies to everything. I know people who have been desperate for marriage, and then it happened, and then they regretted it big time. Close people to me. That it so happened, it was so bad that they had wished that they didn't marry.
That's a terrible place to be.
Yes.
Terrible place to be. Because the thing about making the wrong decision when you want to get married is, it's like it has eaten years of your life that you cannot undo. So it's better you don't even make the decision than to make a wrong decision.
See, the truth is this. When you see it this way, you're going alone. You're going alone. It's easy to make decisions. You're lighter. You move faster and all of that. You're going alone. In comes someone else. Now you slow down.
You have to
consider the other person. Are they moving at the pace? Before you do something, you need to call. You need to check. Every decision you make can impact this person, affect this person.
And the decision the other person to make
will impact you.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to another area. I'm going to be very philosophical now, right? Another aspect of life that we don't look at. Marriage is a journey. You just want to walk with someone.
Yeah.
Because the truth is this. When death comes, it comes individually. Well, some couples die together. It's not to say that when you plane crash, you die together. But when you were birthed, when they gave birth to you, you came alone. And you expected to go alone. So even on that journey, that marriage journey, you guys might alight at different points in life.
Absolutely.
So the idea is this. You're supposed to take cognizance of your own life while you are in the marriage.
Say that again.
You're supposed to take cognizance of your own life while you are in that journey. You're not supposed to throw away your awareness, your individualism or individuality because you met someone.
So any marriage that would take away your individualism completely
is a no. If you find a partner who is very controlling, or someone who is controlling, who doesn't want you to,
it's a red flag.
Who doesn't want you to do, you're not supposed to die in marriage. No, it's just a journey. You just want to walk with someone. I want to walk this life with you.
Yeah.
My own personal person. Let's do this together. That's all marriage is.
Oh my God. I really love this thing that you have said, because a lot of women tend to believe that their life is incomplete without marriage. And I believe it's the way society has conditioned us. It's not true. There are many examples of people in the Bible who made great lasting impacts and were never married. Marriage was never a commandment. It was never oh, you must. It was never a commandment.
Your life is your primary assignment. Your life is your primary assignment. Now, your marriage, you meet someone and then you merge together and all of that. Now, that's like a partnership. There are a lot of negotiations, in marriage. There are a lot of negotiations where when you guys sit down and actually just thrash things out. This is not emotions anymore. You get like, school fees, you get school fees, this is that. This money now, what do we do with this money? I can't buy that car I wanted to buy anymore. Because now you can go ahead and buy that car and it becomes sorrow to you. What I mean by that is the home is not happy. So you can't be happy driving that car if you're a responsible person anyway. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You can't be happy driving that car because you know that, say for instance now, your kid's school fees is not complete or has not even been paid.
You now buy a car.
And you're driving that big car about.
The school has chased the
You
children
understand?
away
And then you keep getting calls. They're bugging you. You keep getting. How are you happy that your kids are not in school and you're driving the car? That's what I mean by that car being, a thing of sorrow to you. Not that you get accidents or anything like that. But you get what I'm trying to say. So it's subject to negotiations and all of that. But your life, for a woman, for a man, in fact, before you marry someone, you need to be marriageable yourself. You need to be presentable to the other person. You need to be compact and complete.
Attractive. And attractive does not only mean physical attraction.
And that's
are you useful? Are you a plus to this
are you compact? Are you okay? Are you fulfilled?
Can you deal with yourself?
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Can you feed yourself? Let's be very, very practical. Can you feed yourself? Can you pay your own bills? Can you sort yourself emotionally? Are you aware of your emotional, states? Are you psychologically, are you advanced? Are you matured? All these things are important before you now become someone else's partner.
I really like this because sometimes we tend to think that marriage is an escape from the things we are dealing with in life. So when you get married, it will get better. No. If you don't deal with these things and you go into marriage, you complicate things not just for yourself, but for the person that you're marrying. Because those issues, and marriage, I believe, is even God's best preparation in making us in molding our character. Because when you get married to someone, the character of that person or your character shows what other people don't see outside. That person who is married to you would, because they sleep with it, they breathe with it, every time you're in the same, you're confined together in that space. So marriage is not an escape from your personal struggles. Marriage is actually a place to bring the best. You have prepared yourself and to bring the best version of yourself so that you're useful to yourself, and then you're also a blessing and not a burden to the person that you're marrying. I really love this.
Marriage actually amplifies your character.
Whether good or bad, it shows it.
It amplifies it. So what you carried on before you got married, once you get married, it gets amplified, it gets bigger. So you need to sort yourself out. Are you the type that finds it very difficult to apologize when you're wrong? There's some people like that.
Yeah.
Like, what does it cost you to say you're sorry? And then again, being able to repair relationship, being able to repair
is a skill.
It's a skill. Like, so these are things you look out for. Like, oh, now you've done this thing, you're at fault now. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Do you have the humility to say, oh, I take all responsibility. I thought this was going to turn out. I'll give a story. I got a job in a place I really wanted to work. And then this man who was a final boss, like the final boss in the game, the final person that I would speak to, his appearance was so scary and all that. Amazingly, he was the softest human being ever. My lesson in life, looks can be very deceptive.
Yeah.
And then this man was so welcoming, and this was the final person. I felt this was the man that would kill me. You get like with the questions and everything. But he was one that welcomed me on board and everything. Now, that aside, where I'm going, taking responsibility when you're wrong and everything. My first assignment, I was given a job, a brief, and then I was going in the direction which I was briefed. And then in comes my new boss, and then says he's a creative as well, and then says, why don't you do it this way and do blah 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 blah. And then when the chariot came, the creative guys, when they came and they were like, no, this was not what we did. They started attacking me, and then my boss just interrupted and said, excuse me, I was the one who told him, oh God, the respect, admiration, love that I picked up for that man from that day. So you get like someone who can actually stand in and say, I take full responsibility. Yeah. I am here. And prior to that time, I've worked with terrible bosses who just throw you under the bus. And when the time goes, you just go into hiding and you take all the fire. And it will be too late or too futile for you to start saying, oh, it was this man that you will take it, and then this man would sit on fire. Fire will be sent into our department and he would just consume it, hold on to it, and then just cascade it in the most subtle, gentle ways, for us to know that there's fire on the mountain. But he will not come and say, as they throw the fire to him, he will not just extend the fire group.
Yeah.
That's a leader.
Yeah.
That's a leader. And that's who you want to be. As a man, as a woman. So is your character upright? Is it right? Are you working on yourself before that partner comes? And the thing is this. When women, most of the times when they talk about having to wait, on marriage or on a partner, sometimes they fail to see that it's both ends.
It is.
It's both sides. You find men who are not yet married, and you feel that by now this man should be married. And then when you meet them and then they talk and then they tell you they're not married, and you start to wonder, what's the problem? And all of that. And so these same things go round. That there are questions to ask, like this same man in question now, are they ripe? Are they matured? Do they have what it takes to be? Because when you become married, eventually you're going to be the head of the home. You get it? It's not just going to be, oh, me and my wife. You're going to have kids. Now you're going to have people behind you. You're going to be leading.
Looking up to you.
So your leadership skills and everything, very, very important. Very, very important. So sometimes for such men, they might, I know I've met some people that the problem is their pool of, should I say, selection, so to say. So that's another thing. You're very selective, you're highly selective. This is what I want, this is what, and then you do not even have the necessary attributes to attract from that pool. You don't have it.
Yeah.
You have high expectations.
Yeah, but you're not building yourself. You're not, it's like you are also not preparing yourself in a way that that type of person you want to attract will find you attractive.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And then they hold out and then they keep going into this pool trying to, and then the truth is this. It could start. You could initiate a conversation, even a few dates, but eventually your person would be reflected. Whether you give permission to it or not, it will happen, and then this person will see that, oh, this is not the person for me.
Yeah.
Because when we present ourselves, we know how to do that. Present ourselves in the best of ways, and then we look attractive, and and people want to,
even behavior-wise
and all of that, behavior-wise and everything. Yeah. But then life starts to happen. People start to see
that this is the real you.
Yeah. When it came to this point in life, certain pivotal decisions, this was what you did. As at the time you were supposed to be doing this was what you did. Your work life, say for instance, now you're not even attentive. You're not present. You just want to have all the time to yourself. You don't realize that there's a time where you have to toil, and really get into the grits of work and all of that. You're absent. And then you just keep giving excuses. You keep telling people, oh, if only I was given this, the time was not right. I was not allowed to do this. I will have done this out. Another thing, another red flag. Watch out for people like this who make a lot of excuses. Who do not make the best use of what is available to them. It's always what is available to you, not the best. It will never be the best. That's life. But what do you make of what is available to you? Yeah. So I'm always making excuses. I've done this. If only they are done. That's a red flag for leadership, for someone who is expected to be a leader. Come on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toba, for your question. It's been a very insightful conversation, and I do hope that ladies, even men, you've picked some lessons. I want to know what has resonated with you. What are the lessons you've picked from this conversation? Please let us know in the comments. But before we go, I'd like you to talk about what you do and how that has, shaped your marriage. You always knew what you wanted to do. How knowing that shaped how you picked the woman you want to marry, and how it has shaped your marriage till today.
Okay, so I'm a creative, right? Media, advertising, entertainment, and all of that. So I'm always on the move. There's always something to shoot. There's always all of that to do and everything. And then I love music so much. My wife loves music. I think that was a precondition for me. I once met someone that I was liking, and the person said, I don't like music. And that was it. I didn't say another word to that person again. Like, for me, music means everything. Very important, So I'm the kind of person that I'm with, gives me the encouragement. Is passionate about my works. Is present, very supportive. I want to shoot and I need her to be there. She's ready. Let's go. Let's just go. Let's go get it. And sometimes when the stress of the work falls right back on me, like I could have in my industry, multiple reverts, senseless, meaningless reverts, multiple, and then they just take the toll on you. You're stressed. You're angry. She just understands when it happens that I require space. She just gives me the space. And how does she give me the space? She always ensures that she's not in the way and the kids are not in the way. Most especially, like, making her just clear.
She knows daddy needs it.
Clear. He needs to sort himself. And then, there are also the occasional questions like, are you good? Do you want this? Should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, I'm fine. Maybe I'll have this later. Blah 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 blah. Blah. So that's been how we wait through, all of the difficulties and the challenges of work, because work is very very important. Work can actually make or destroy your marriage.
Because for some of us that are lucky, work is also tied to life's purpose.
Yes,
Our
it
life's
is.
purpose, the giftings of God in our lives, and how we are using it to impact our very world.
I even get to say, moving out of this discussion, if sometimes people don't even know what their calling is. They don't know what
You can't even know. If you don't know that, you cannot. You shouldn't even be picking who to get married to.
a lot of people don't know that, and for me, why wherever I find myself, or whatever decision I need to make in terms of, regarding my family and all of that, they are in close tangents with my work. They're not separated. And that's why, uh, as a family guy, as a family man, I have found it very hard to be away from my family. I don't know how some people do it. They stay away, they stay live in another country for 2 3 years, they've not seen their family. I don't know how they do it. But every time the opportunity has come through for me to do that, I've turned it down, because I understand that I have to be around my family. That is what is most important. Do you get? For me, now for some other people, I don't know how they do it, but you need to figure out what works.
Yeah,
for
but
you.
I think it is this deliberate decision to choose your family is working for you because you've chosen to be with a partner who supports your goals. If it were
The other way
otherwise,
around.
you would know that you need to excuse yourself from that place to get the necessary inspiration you need to deliver on some creative ideas you're trying to explore. You get what I mean? Some people are not that lucky, and that's why it's always good to choose what's best for you from the beginning, what works for you.
Yeah, if you and the signs are always there. The signs are always there, but sometimes we don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get very self-centered. We just want to do what works for us and not what works for the team. And then based on what works for us, we now make that decision.
Yeah.
Very selfish decision, which most of the times usually backfire. Like, oh, this thing, I had the opportunity to make this decision, and this was what I did. Now look
Yeah.
at what's happening right now. So very important when you see these things, like, is this someone who is going to stifle my dreams? Is this someone I need to keep my dreams away from? Do you know this?
You shouldn't even be with such a person. Yeah.
I remember my very first CD, my very first album I recorded. I was hiding a CD from my dad, because I hadn't gained admission into university and all of that. But I was passionate about music. Music was everything. I was doing music, and not that I wasn't paying attention to my studies and everything, but again, my parents didn't get some things right. Now I know what they didn't get right, and I'm going to ensure that I don't make that mistake with my kids. They weren't so inclusive in my education. They just felt I had it figured out and all of that. So another story. But eventually, my dad found the CD, and then he discovered the CD, and I was expecting brimstones and fire to be dropped on me. I was amazed. He called me into his room, and he encouraged me.
Oh wow.
So sometimes, the decisions that, again, your parents make can destroy your self-confidence, can destroy who eventually you might have turned out to be. At that point, if my dad had cursed me, he didn't do that. He told me that I shouldn't lose sight of what is most important, and that's education. And I got that. But while that is happening, I can express myself. I can do this. I got fired up. Eventually, hey, who graduated? Who got into school? Me. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then I still was able to keep the music.
Yeah.
And then my thesis.
Because you had the right encouragement.
So you don't want to be with someone who you're hiding your dreams from, where you're not comfortable being yourself, because your passion, your dreams, they align with your calling in life sometimes. And then when you now sadly have to hide that away from a partner,
you can never be happy with that.
You can't function well.
Never. Not just function well, you cannot be happy with that person. And because you're not happy with, you cannot even be happy as a human being, first of all.
You can't function
well. You can't. Yeah.
You can't function well. So it needs to be someone you're happy to explore, to exhibit, to express your dreams, your desires. To be yourself around.
In a responsible fashion. Because sometimes irresponsible partners can say, oh, I'm just being myself. Shouldn't you consider the feelings of the person you're with?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when people want to take this decision, the truth is they know the truth, but sometimes they hide away from the truth. They shy away from the truth.
We
And
deceive
then
ourselves and
yes, and
start
then
playing victim.
yes, and then
You made a decision to be with someone you know is not going to pay you,
and then
but
you
for
start
whatever
playing the victim
reason.
card. And that's why you need to seek counsel. I'll give an example. This happened to my sister. She was
I hope she won't mind you
she won't
sharing.
mind. She was with a guy, the guy who is her husband right now, and as a young lady, youthfulness comes into play. Sometimes it threatens to shape your decision because you're still young. You feel this is now. I would explain. She met someone else who she felt was better for her. And why did she feel so? Because this other person was very attractive. When I say very attractive, I don't mean physically, socially.
Every other
Socially,
area.
this guy was the very, very boisterous person. Very expressive, he was the social, what's it called, magnet, so to say. He would attract people, that kind of guy. But the other guy, reserved, calm. And I said to him, and both of them, actually, one of them was my friend. The other guy, who was the social,
The boisterous
yes,
guy.
guy, was my friend. Our intended or intending husband then was not my friend. It was just someone I spotted from afar, and I saw something in that guy. Stability. I do not mean to brag, but I'm a good judge of character. It's a gift, actually. It's never failed me before. And I saw that in him. He wasn't even close to me. He wasn't even a friend.
What did you say in him?
Stability, dependability, reliability. Like, come what may, this guy's not shaking. Meanwhile, the other guy was flashy. I said, be wary. If it is too good to be true, most of the times it is too good to be true. And then she went for the
Stable one.
and all of
Thank
that.
God.
And then I remember one time in a marriage, she called me and she said, T-boy, that's what she calls me. I want to thank you for that advice you gave me then. Because again, youthfulness, you make you choose someone,
Exuberance.
someone who is outspoken, who is there, who can do this with it. But in the long run, eventually, because like I said, when you marry a man, he's not just going to be your husband, he will be a father. The functionality would transform, metamorphose from being a husband,
From being a lover
to
to a husband, to a protector, to a provider.
to a father. So you need to look at this man in respect of all these jurisdictions, so to say, all these factors, all these points. You need to put the man into, does he fit? Oh, he's a fantastic lover, but as a husband, how is he? How is this man as a father?
Lover yatos, the husband.
Two different things. Two absolutely extreme ends.
This thing you said about stability reminds me of when I broke my leg. And everybody around me was like, oh, come back to Nigeria, come and do this thing, come and do this in Nigeria. It was only my husband that said, stay where you are. And in retrospect, thinking about it now, when I'm saying lover is different from husband, because he was the only person that took full responsibility, who evaluated the consequential effect of any decision we made. As much as I bragged that my brothers love me, they were all telling me to come back to Nigeria. Frustrating. Those were because they were acting from a place of emotion, that I was alone in a very far country, and they just wanted to see me. They were afraid because I happened to be the last child and the only girl of my mom. You get what I mean? So they were acting from that place of career show, okay. But my husband was the only one who took charge, who understood that this responsibility falls squarely on his shoulder. And I don't know how he did it within that space. I just really bless God that he just said, you are in that country, their healthcare system is better there. Even though we didn't have the money, but he just knew that you would access. In fact, I was talking about this to my friend a couple of days ago, right? And a husband is different from a lover. I mean, embedded in the very idea of husbandry is lover, but husband to lover law.
Lover my face.
He stood there and he made sure that we were making the right decision.
Again, the quality of decision. You see, a man is determined by the quality of decisions that he makes at time, given the circumstances. I mean, sometimes things will be bad, sometimes will be good. But what do you decide? What are your words? What are your verdicts? We're not doing this, we're doing this. Do you know how many times my wife comes back and says, thank God that you
said we should not do this.
So when I say we're not doing it, that is it. Because I've proven over time, even my mom, not just even before I married, my mom, when I tell my mom, don't do this, Emma Shibai. When she goes against it, she'll come back and say, Okukuso,
Yeah.
You said it.
And the onus falls on you to make sure that you are marrying a man whose decision you can respect. Don't marry a man that you have to be questioning his. I mean, there are a couple of times, because God has gifted us intuition as women, that you can sense, oh, this might not be right for the family. But in most cases, if you've really decided well in your choice of husband, it's easy to trust his decision.
Yes, you can't. We cannot know it all. You get, life is bigger than every one of us, so we need to be firm. When I say firm, spiritually, psychologically, financially, emotionally, we need to be firm. We don't know it all. Again, life would come at us. 10% of how we respond to what happens in life is what matters the most. 90% of the time, we would not even have a say in what happens to us. Like when you broke your leg, you didn't know you were going to break your leg. You know, so, and that's life. And it happens. We all have that. This happened at this time, that happened at this time. A lot of things we go through, you know. So when people come at me and they come to tell me their personal problems, I just laugh. Like, who told you I do not have personal problems? Do I open it up to you again? You know, so I think it's very rude when you actually just go to people and just pour it out.
Be responsible.
Okay, like, hey, that person is dealing with stuff as well.
Yeah. You know? I mean, it's good to share, but you must also do it from
Don't burden while you're sharing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
This has been I've enjoyed every bit, every moment of this. We do hope that you have enjoyed watching as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Toba. You've always a delight.
It's been a pleasure, sis.
Always a delight.
I always have fun when I'm here too.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching. To think that I wanted to end this about 10 minutes ago, but yet there were a lot of lessons awaiting us, and I'm glad that we were able to extend it, and you especially was able to wait till the end. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode of Life, Love and Relationships. Till we see you again next week. With all my love. Love and relationship.